Hello everyone and welcome to Instructionless, the channel where I build Lego sets without any instructions. I'm very excited of the release of the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie, so this time we're building a set from the Marvel collection. That's right, we're building Baby Groot. This set comes in at 476 pieces. But what does that look like in Lego? As usual, the name of the game is to keep things simple, and I plan to do this by starting with what I think is the easiest part of this build, and that is the hands. When doing things the instructionless way, it's important to build momentum and keep that momentum going. By starting with sections of the build that are easy to assemble, I can eliminate a lot of extra pieces for when I start building more complex parts of the build, like the torso and that adorable face. This arm was pretty quick for me to assemble, and once I have one done, it's a matter of just duplicating it to make another. With the arms and hands out of the way, it's time to get started on these baby tree trunk legs. When starting any build, it's important to make sure you have a strong foundation. And with a figure like this with such a big head, it'll be very top heavy. So it's important I get this right, otherwise he won't be able to stand. I've never built a figure like this before, so it's interesting to see how this ball joint comes into play to act like a knee, so he can make like a tree and get out of here. And similar to the arms and hands, once we have one leg section complete, all we have to do is make a second, slightly modified version. And now that we have the arms and legs of this build, it's time to bring it all together by assembling the torso. This part of the build kind of reminds me of sculpting in a sense. I have no real plan for the torso. Instead, I'm taking a much looser approach, starting with the basic shape that will then allow me to start building it out and create a more three-dimensional form. Like with any instructionless build, however, there's always lots of trial and error, but honestly, I believe that's where the fun is at. Right now, the torso is really starting to take shape though, and I'm very happy with how it's turning out. And because of that, I figured out how thick I need to make the torso. This is handy because now I have a lot less guesswork to make on how thick I need to make the torso. And because of this simple discovery, will now allow me to assemble the rest of the build much quicker. Now that I have the neck of the build, as well as the shoulder joints for the arms, and then all that's left to do is to add the hip joints where I can connect the legs. This part of the build took a while to assemble, but I'm glad it's done and I think it looks amazing. With the torso fully completed, all we have to do is figure out how to make this adorable face. Right now I'm trying to figure out the most important part of this build, which is getting the facial features to look cute and adorable. And that all comes down to getting them in the right spot. I'm always looking for suggestions for what I should build next, so if you have a Lego set you'd like to see me build, let me know in the comments. After some trial and error of trying to get the head shape I need, I remember the time I assembled a Lego orchid from the botanical collection. In order to make the vase of the orchid cylindrical, I had to use several circular plates that I could rotate to offset the pieces to help make a more cylindrical design, which is great when you're trying to build something like a head. With the internal structure of the head figured out, all I have to do is build it up and build it out. Luckily, with all these sloped pieces, it's very easy to make the head seem more rounded, but oh boy, is this part of the build very flimsy. Whenever I add additional sections to this part, I have to be very careful not to touch any of the other parts, or risk them popping off and breaking. In order to connect the jaw piece to have it slightly open, I created this very crude hinge piece that I could attach to the bottom of the head. But before I move on any further, I want to attach the eyes to the top of this plate and add it to the rest of the head to get a bigger picture as to what the head is looking like so far. And oh, what a sight it is. And with that nightmare behind us, let's disassemble this and see what we can do differently. I didn't mind how the placement of the eyes looked, but I also didn't want to make the head seem too long in the midsection, as it's already looking a little longer than it should be. I'm feeling much happier this time around though with the placement of the facial features. Now all I want to do is just refine the front of the face to see if I can't get something that looks pretty cute. I just have to build up the front of the face a little bit more where his nose would go, looking pretty good, and build up the sides a little bit higher to build it up and give it a little bit more of a head shape, and there we go. And now that I've Frankensteined every single part of this build, it's time to get started on the remaining decorative pieces for this set. like a plaque in a mixtape that Star-Lord uses to play all of his wicked tunes. Luckily for me, there's nothing too fancy going on here, but I do really appreciate the design that went into making the cassette tape. And in no time at all, I'm at what is probably one of my least favorite parts of most LEGO sets these days. And for me, it's the stickers. I don't know about you, but I never really liked putting stickers on LEGO. Something about it just always felt a little wrong. But I'm curious to hear if you have any thoughts on the matter. If you're building a LEGO set and there are stickers, do you put them on or do you leave them off? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to know if this is just a me thing or if other people also feel the same way. All that being said though, I do believe the stickers work very well for this model in particular. And with the final sticker in place, all we have to do is finish assembling him and see how he holds himself up. And out of the 476 pieces that came with this set, we only have 68 that weren't used. This build was a lot of fun and I challenged myself to do something I'd never done before, and that is build a figure out of LEGO. It was a difficult but fun journey to build this LEGO set without any instructions and to only use the box as a reference. And I'm very happy with the final results. As usual, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, happy building!